All right, the first practice link on NS1B has us looking at absolute value. It says, what is the absolute value of 6/7? Remember, absolute value takes a number, whether it's positive or negative, and looks at the positive value. So this is already positive, 6/7. So the absolute value is still going to be 6/7. So we just plug in that fraction, and that's it. Next one says, what is the absolute value of 1/4? Remember those bars around the outside of the number? The rational number mean absolute value. So the absolute value of a positive 1/4 is still just 1/4. Okay, what is the absolute value of 5.5? Still going to be a positive 5.5, not a negative. We want the positive value. Okay, what is the absolute value of negative 8.1? Would be a positive 8.1. Again, we want the positive value. All right, let's go on. All right, we have negative 3/10 and 2/5. We need to add these together. We can answer as a proper fraction, whole number, or mixed number. We can see the first thing we need to do is find a common denominator. We have 10 and 5. That's not common. We need to find a common denominator. So what's the smallest number that 5 and 10 both go into? So you may be able to figure this out right away without writing the multiples, but I'm going to show the multiples. We count by 5s. We start with 5. Next comes 10. Start with 10. 10 is the first one. So that means our common denominator is going to be 10. So we can rewrite our fractions with the common denominator. The first fraction of 3/10 doesn't change at all because it already has the common denominator of 10. The second fraction, 2/5, we do have to change. What are we going to multiply 5 by to get 10, the common denominator? We would multiply 5 by 2 to get 10. So we're going to do the same thing on the top. 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, so that fraction becomes 4/10. Now we can actually add them together. When you add fractions, the denominator does not change once you have the common denominator. So that's going to be 10. The top, we're going to apply our rules. We have a negative 3 and a positive 4. That is unlike, so that tells us to subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1, and keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number is 4, which is positive, so our answer is going to be a positive 1/10. And we plug that in, and we did it correctly. Good. Let's try another one. We have 4 and 7/10 plus a negative 1/2. Okay, so what we want to do here, the easiest way, the quickest way I think, is to rock around the clock and then find our common denominator. Okay, to rock around the clock, we need to take 4 times 10 and then add 7. Okay, what rocking around the clock does is it changes our fraction from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay, so 10 times 4 is 40. Add 7, we get 47. So we have 47 over 10. So that is the same as 4 and 7/10. It's just written a little bit differently. Okay, then we have our plus negative 1/2. Now, if we follow our rules for adding and subtracting, a positive and a negative, a plus and a minus right next to each other, that's unlike, and it simplifies to a negative. So I could rewrite that as minus 1/2 or a negative 1/2. All right, now I need to find my common denominator. Again, list out multiples until we find one that's the same. So 2's, we go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10, we start with 10. All right, and we can see the common denominator is 10. The smallest number in both lists is 10. The first fraction, we don't have to change at all. Okay, it already has our common denominator of 10. The second fraction, we do need to change. We need to get that 2 to be a 10. So we multiply by 5 to get 10. What we do to the bottom, we also have to do to the top. So we multiply by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. And now we can subtract. 47, well, let's apply our rules. We have a positive 47, a negative 5. That's unlike, so that tells us to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. 47 minus 5. You can write that on the side if you'd like. Is 42, so it'll be 42 over 10. The bigger number is 47, which is positive, so our answer is going to be positive. Okay, now it says that we have to write our answer as a proper fraction, whole number, or mixed number. This is not a proper fraction because the denominator is bigger than the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Okay, that's an improper fraction, so we have to change that into a mixed number. So we have to think, how many times does 10 go into 40 evenly? And you can count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40. 4 times 10 goes into 42 evenly. So the big number out front would be 4. And once we take away the 40, there's only 2 left. So it'd be 2 as our numerator, 10 is our denominator. Now we have a mixed number, but we have to have a mixed number that is reduced as much as possible. So the 4 will stay the same. 2 over 10, though, can be reduced. What goes into 2 and 10? Evenly, that would be 2. We can divide 2 by 2 to get 1, divide 10 by 2 to get 5. So 4 and 1/5 would be our final answer. And that would be a positive, so we'll write 4 and 1/5. Okay, 2/10 reduces to 1/5 to give us our answer. All right? Good. This is a good one because we have decimals and we have a fraction. Okay, so in order to, and it says write your answer as a decimal. Okay, so we want to change this fraction of 2/5 into a decimal. Easiest way to do that is do the numerator divided by the denominator. Okay, our decimals right there, we need to raise that up and put it on top before we divide. Now 5 goes into 2 0 times. 0 times 5 is 0. Subtract, we get 2. We're going to bring down a 0. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract, and we get 0. So 2/5 is the same as 0.4. So we have 9.3 plus a negative 0.4. We have unlike signs right next to each other. That's going to simplify to a negative. 9.3 minus 0.4. Now we need to subtract. 9.3 is positive, 0.4 is negative. That tells us they're unlike. We need to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So we can subtract on the side. We're going to have to borrow. 13 minus 4 is 9. 8 minus 0 is 8. Bring down our decimal. We get 8.9. The bigger number is 9.3. That's positive. So our answer is going to be positive. Be 8.9. Good. Okay, the next link. Adding negative numbers on the number line. We have to choose which number line fits this expression. So it's starting, we're going to start at 0, and then we're going to 3.5, then we're going to add a negative 6. Well, right here, we have a positive and a negative. If we apply our rules, a positive and a negative right next to each other simplifies to a negative. So that would be 3.5 minus 6. So we have to figure out which one of these first goes to the right 3.5, because it's positive, and then to the left 6. So it looks like this one first goes to the right 6, and then to the left 3.5. So that doesn't fit. We need to go 3.5 to the right first, and then to the left 6. This goes to the right 3.5, but then it goes to the right 6. So that doesn't fit either. Let's look at the next one. This one goes to the right 3.5, and then to the left 6. So that fits what we needed to do. That's the right one. All right. This one says 6 plus a negative 2. Again, we have unlike signs right next to each other. That's going to simplify to a negative 6 minus 2. So we need to go to the right 6 because it's positive, and then to the left 2 because it's negative. Oh, and this actually has vertical number lines. So we need to go up 6 because it's positive, and then down 2 because it's negative. So let's see, this one goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes down 2. So it looks like that one should work, but let's check the rest to see if they work. This goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not in there anywhere. And then it goes up 2 more. That doesn't fit. That doesn't make sense. This one goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good, but then it goes up 2. We don't want to go up 2. We need to go down 2. So that means the only one that fits is the first one. We go up 6 because it's positive, but down 2 because it's negative. Good. All right, we have horizontal number lines again. Looks like we're going to the left 4 because it's negative, to the right 7.5 because it's positive. So this first one goes 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 to the right. So it looks like that first one fits. Let's check the rest. This is going 1, 2 to the left. That doesn't really make sense at all. This one's going 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then 7.5 to the left, but that's the opposite. We need to go to the left first because it's a negative 4, and then to the right because it's a positive 7.5. So it looks like the first one is the only one that fits, and that's good. Okay. The fourth link that you need to do. Now this one, instead of them giving you the equations, you have to write the equations that fit the number line. Okay, so we'll start at 0. Well, let's see what it says. 4 minus something equals something. Okay, so 4, looks like we went from 0 up to 4, which is what this says. We're starting at 4. Then we're subtracting something, and where are we ending up? We're subtracting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the first blank we put 5. And then where did we end up? At negative 1. So we plug in negative 1. And we got that one right. Good, let's try another one. Oh, we need to do more practice. We'll click practice again. Will give us more problems. All right, vertical number line. It says first we're going to -4. So from 0, we're going down to -4. Then we're adding something, but we're still going down. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going down 6 more. So even though we're adding a -6 because we're still going down. And we know according to our rules, if we have a plus and a minus, positive and a negative right next to each other, that's going to simplify to a negative. So it would be the same as -4 minus 6. So it works. And where does that bring us to? Brings us to -10. Good. We got that one right. Okay, let's try one more. We're starting at 0. We're going down to -2. And then we're subtracting. We're going down 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So we're subtracting 4. And where does that bring us to? Brings us to -6. And that's our equation. Notice I didn't put in a -4 because the minus in front takes care of the negative of the 4. Keeps us going down. Good. All right, let's take a look at the last link that we have to do on this standard. Okay, now we have to figure out which interpretation fits the expression that they give us. So which of the following is a correct interpretation of the expression -7 minus -11? So are we starting at -7 on the number line and moving 11 to the left? Let's do some simplifying here. First, we see 2 negatives next to each other. According to our rules, 2 negatives next to each other become a positive. They're like, which makes it a positive. So this actually simplifies to -7 plus 11. So let's read that again. Start at -7 on the number line and move 11 to the left. Now left means negative. But we have a positive 11, so we're not going to the left, we're going to the right. This says start at -7 on the number line and move 11 to the right. Right means positive. So that one seems to be the one that fits so far. Let's check the other two. Start at -11 on the number line and move 7 to the left. Okay, if we start at -11, move 7 to the left, that's going to give us a bigger negative number. That's not going to work. Start at -11 on the number line and move 7 to the right. Okay, again, our 11 is positive, so we're not going to start at -11 on either one of those. So it's got to be the second one right there. And we got that one right. Let's check out another one. Says we have -6 plus 9. Says the number that is 9 to the left of -6. Okay, if we're starting at -6, say it's here, we're adding 9, we're going to go to the right up to a +3. So the number that is 9 to the left of -6, that doesn't make sense. The number that is 9 to the right of -6, start at -6, go to the right, that seems to make sense. It's a +9 going to the right. So that one seems to work so far. Let's check out the other two to make sure. The number that is 6 to the left of -9, well, these both have -9. We don't have a -9 in our problem, so those don't make sense. So it's got to be the second one there. All right, let's try just one more. We have -6 minus a -5. Again, we're going to apply our rules. 2 negatives right next to each other simplifies to a positive. 2 like signs becomes a positive. So that'd be -6 plus 5. All right, so we're starting at -6, and we're going to go to the right 5, which will bring us to -1. So the number that is 6 to the left of negative 5, see, we don't have a negative 5 in our problem once we simplified it, so those two don't really make sense. The number that is 5 to the left of negative 6, are we going to the left of negative 6? No, we're actually going to the right of negative 6. So this says the number that is 5 to the right of negative 6 on the number line. So that last one is the one that matches our number line, the one that seems to make sense. And that's right. Okay?